Hi, it's Everman Tactical today, and today I'm going to be going over the PS90. I've had a couple requests of people that know me who have let fire this, and they'd be like, dude, do a video on your PS90. So I decided, why not? I'm doing a myriad of videos, I'll throw this in there. First of all, a little bit of history about the PS90. This was developed to replace the 9mm round and the 9mm short machine pistols used by vehicle crews and helicopter crews, flight crews, and also by counter-terrorist units. It started development in the 80s, was in full production in the 90s, and these days over 40 countries use it in some role or capacity, to include the United States, which almost all our federal agencies now have these in their arsenal, to include the Secret Service, DEA, FBI, and then some local principalities. I know Houston Police Department has done some field testing on this weapon. Now this is not the P90, which is the 10-inch barrel, which goes to about here, which is pretty cool, and which is what I'm going to eventually be doing to this one. This is the standard civilian legal one. That being said, it has a 16-inch barrel. This is a barrel shroud that screws on outside of the barrel, which does bring its total length to just under 27 inches. I also have the variant with the rail up top. They have one where a red dot or a reticle sight is built into this here, and I've just not a big fan of that. I've seen them overseas with the Belgians. I looked through theirs, and it was like, well, it's okay, but it's dark. It's a little bit hard to use in low light situations. So I did opt for the rail system with the backup iron sight inside the rail. That backup iron sight is exactly what it sounds like, a backup iron sight. It is hard to see through, it's hard to get a good sight picture, but in an emergency it would work. Now this weapon does run 5.7 by 28, and it's out of a 16-inch barrel, I'm getting hits out to 200 yards fairly accurately. For what it is, for a small round like that. 200 yards accuracy in a 9mm submachine gun is, stretching it. So when you think about this, and this easily hits that 200 yards, that's a good step up from those 9mm submachine guns. Also along that, the recoil on this is non-existent. Completely non-existent. In fact, the first time I fired it, I thought I had a squib load. I broke it down, I checked the barrel, and no, it just has very little recoil. It does feed on 50 round magazines. They have them in 30 and 10, but these are $17 magazines. These are AR-57 magazines, but they function flawlessly in my rifle. They're pretty cheap. The only thing is trying to find something to carry these in gets a little bit precarious. Now it is fully ambidextrous. This thing takes ambidextrosity to a new level. As you can see, the charging handle is on both sides of the rifle. The safety is a rotating drum on the bottom. There, as you can see, if I can get it in there, it just rotates like that. One is for fire, S is for safe, and then going back from there, it ejects all of its brass through this here. And unlike what I've seen on some forums, no, this is not a 5.7 pistol magazine. This is the ejection port. So the rounds literally just drop out the bottom. It's not that aggressive. You do got to watch about slipping on them if you are firing a whole bunch of rounds in the same position. But in order to withdraw the magazine, it's also fully ambidextrous. The only thing that's a little bit odd about it is that you're going to have to pull up as you push the magazine release back. But to load the magazine is incredibly fast. It just slides all the way in. There's no guiding. As long as it gets in here, it'll load, which makes it fairly fast to reload once you get used to it. As far as ergonomics, it is pretty comfortable. One thing you got to get used to is that your trigger finger is going to be kept on that safety rotating right there, and then when you go to fire, you're going to have to bring it back and then bring the trigger finger up to the fire position. Another thing on ergonomics is the sight is very high above the bore, which means it's hard not to put a bullet through your chronograph, in my personal experience. But It does not really affect the accuracy all that much since it's only going 200 yards. Now I'm rocking an EOTech up here, but I'm thinking of switching to a micro dot or a Seymour rail, just because I think it would be lower on the bore axis. But for now, this has proved me pretty well. I really like this sight on this rifle. And now ease of takedown is another thing that makes this rifle stand apart from a lot of the other, especially the FNs. Is it's just simple. There's a button up here, which is your barreled receiver button, and it literally just slides out the front. It's that simple. And then now you can clean the the barrel with ease without worrying about messing up your polymer, which due to the polymer coating on the casing, that does rub off on the bore a little bit and make it so you need to use a harsh cleaner to get that out of there. Now the next step in takedown is simply slide the bolt out the front, and now you have the bolt carrier group, which is essentially just the bolt with your recoil guides on there. You don't really have to take this apart any. You can get your lubricant to where it needs to go, and you can clean everything you need to clean from the outside. Moving on from there to take it down further, you simply slide the butt pad up. Now you've got the butt pad is off. Then there is a takedown lever in the back, on the back of your trigger group. If you can see that, you just push this lever up and pull out on your trigger group. Now the trigger group is all polymer, and it's very light, but it's not. It's pretty durable. I mean, look at it at 2,000 rounds plus. I'm not really looking at any significant wear or tear, which is pretty good for that amount of ammunition through a polymer trigger group. And to put it back together, it's pretty easy. You just slip in, push that lever all the way up. You'll feel it seat. You take your butt pad in, you slide it top to bottom, take your bolt carrying group. There's your ejector. Make sure your ejector is down. Extractor is down. Then you slide it all the way back in. Simply line up your barreled receiver, and there you go. It's back together. Like I mentioned earlier, it is difficult to find a way to carry these magazines. So what I've done is I found a local Kydex holster guy, and I found, he made me these. But I have heard that it does fit in UMP 45 magazine pouches, but I didn't want to take the risk and buy a bunch and then not be able to use them. Another note on the magazines, these are cheap. These are AR-57 magazines, and like I said, they have no problems in my weapon. I got them off cheaper than dirt. They were $17.99 when I bought them. I've seen them as low as $15, and I've seen them as much as $30 for actual FN magazines like this one here. There's not much different. They are clear, so you can see how much ammo you have left. What's really neat about that is literally it's just a glance down and you can see the remaining ammo in your magazine. But besides that, it is extremely ergonomic. It's fun to shoot. It feels like shooting like a Ruger 1022. You can just dump ammo. The trigger pull is something I forgot to mention. The trigger pull is long. It's a little bit mushy, but it's relatively light once you break. It's not a lot of movement. It does have some mush up to that release point, but that is due to the fact that I have a Gen 2 trigger group, which tend to be a little bit better than the later generations. But now you can sell those trigger groups alone on Gunbroker for $600, $700, $800. But no, I think I'm fine. I'm just going to keep it. As a price point, you can get these for a little under $1,400, depending on where you find them. And generally, they range anywhere from $1,100 up to $1,500, depending on the model. But they are a great buy if you're looking to spend your tax return and you want to give FN your business. This is definitely one of their good guns. Now, as far as ammo compatibility, I've had no problem shooting both my reloads. The SS-198 green tips, I fired black tips through this. I fired the American Eagle ammo, and I fired the 40 grain Hornady VMAXs, and all of them performed well. Out of them, the SS-198 was definitely the most accurate. It also had the best accuracy at range, but that's due to its extreme performance and velocity out of the barrel, compared to the American Eagle, which even out of a pistol is running, 1,500, 1,400. But anyway, this is Everyman Tactical. That's my review of the PS90, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go out there and buy one. They're really fun. You stay safe out there.